Hey, what's up guys and welcome back. And today I'm going to be giving you a new series, a crossover. What if Naruto was in the Walking Dead universe, guys? So sit back, relax, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. I indeed have 4 of them if you're new. And if you want your what if to be done, just go ahead and comment it over on Anime Symbol, a channel where I do all of your guys' idea and new what if will be coming over there by tomorrow, guys. So yeah, one of yours ideas, I'll be telling you who by then. So yeah, go ahead, check it out, and I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to comment down below so I can welcome you if you're new, guys. And turn on the bell notification because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting more time, let's jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now, guys. We begin this new story on an infested street where there were a couple of walkers. They were currently devouring the remains of a human body. There was blood and gore all over. It was a gruesome sight to see as they ripped apart and tore into the flesh. As there was a car separating them from the man that was on the other side. He had blonde hair as he leaned against the car. His gaze focused down toward his arm, which was bleeding fresh blood. He was wearing a hoodie. The color was orange, as blood was staining all over it. There was also a lot of blood on his jeans as well. He slowly leaned over to the side as he looked under the car. Seeing the walkers consuming the body, they were not focused on the bag next to it. He slowly, carefully reached out and grabbed the strap before he started to pull it to himself. He was sweating a lot as he focused on them keenly to make sure that if anything went wrong, he could move. As he finally pulled the bag to himself and held onto it, he then started to move when static and a voice started to come from the bag. He started to panic, trying to shut it off as best as he can. However, the walkers heard it, and they started to move. A woman's voice could be heard from inside. Whatever device it was on, he quickly shut it off. As the walkers from all around started to surround him, he got up despite the pain in his arm. He had to ignore it. He had to get the hell out of here. As his mind drifted back to when this all started. It's been a week, if you remember correctly, and yet it feels like years. Flashback. It was a cool day as a light breeze was coming through the window. A young man was relaxing, snoring. He had blonde hair as there was a magazine over his face with some topless swimsuit models covering the cover of the magazine. He was wearing jeans and his slippers had Fox insignias on them as he was in a rather normal living room. Nice TV, nice furniture. However, someone was really annoyed as they looked down towards them. The person ripped the magazine off his face, almost tearing his nose off. He yells in pain as he opened his eyes to see a red-haired woman. She was twice his age, but it seemed hard to believe, given how youthful and young that she looks. "Wait, what are you doing in my room?" he said. He then looked over. "Why the hell am I in the living room?" he asked. As he pulled himself up. "You tell me. You're reading nudie magazines again, Naruto. And I told you I don't want you masturbating in the living room," she yelled at him as she threw the magazine right into his face. "What the hell are you talking about?" he yelled back at her. "I went to sleep in my own room. And for the love of God, Please stop using that word, said Naruto. It sounds really wrong and horrible coming from my mother's mouth. Not that I do that, said Naruto, as he then flipped over the magazine. That's not even mine, said Naruto, as he realized what is happening. Dad is playing a trick on me. I'm a heavy sleeper, and he can get away with it, Naruto yelled. However, she ignored what he said. You do that again, and you'll be sleeping with a boot up your ass, she yelled at him. He swore that he's gonna punch his dad for this, as he knew that he went to bed early in his own room, and now he woke up here with that magazine on his face. He also knew exactly what the man was trying to do. He glanced over towards the clock as he realized the time was still early. That was good, as he put a white t-shirt on and a sleeveless zip-up orange hoodie. He removed the slippers and put on trainers. As he got out of the living room, his mom was still yelling at him. I told you, it isn't mine. He couldn't help but chuckle. She always acts on her emotions. But it doesn't matter, he loved his mom. As he left, closing the door behind him. As he got out, he heard a feminine voice. Sounds like you got yourself into some deep shit again, Naruto. As Naruto stopped at his orange bike, glancing over towards a girl that was laughing frantically. Her skin was rather tan. Her hair was tied up in a bun. She was wearing boy clothes. Did your mom catch you masturbating again? She asked him, with a smirk, as she held a hose in her right hand. I wasn't doing that, said Naruto. My dad is trying to get me to move out, and he's using my mother as a weapon. He's the one behind all of this, Naruto said as he decided to get back at her. You smell bad, Tenten. Might want to wash up or something, he said, just to annoy her. She gave him a blank look before she raised the hose and sprayed right in his face. As Naruto jumped on his bike. I'll get you back for this, he yelled, as she laughed as he ride away. You can try, she yelled back at him. Time skip. As Naruto traversed through the small town, as he stopped outside of a music shop, as he chained his bike to the tree before entering, as he got to the back and placed on his name tag before standing by the register. You're earlier than usual, Naruto, a woman said, looking at him with a slight glare. That's because my mom woke me up before I slept in, he said. The woman rolled her eyes as he chuckled. You know, you're not going to impress a woman if you still live with your parents. You're 24 already, she told him. So, my friend is 25 and still live at home, Naruto tell her, as she simply rolled her eyes. As time passed by, it was close to 1 o'clock, as Naruto was almost dozing off, when she pinched him on the ear. Ow, he yelled. Put these on the shelf, she told him. As Naruto looked around and realized they were the only two people within the shop. As he took the box and walked away as he checked what needed to be added. The door opened as Naruto heard someone walked in. He figured that it was just a customer, as he continued to stack, not looking around. That is when the woman spoke up. Sir, are you alright? Do you need some help? As Naruto glanced over his shoulder to see a man stumbling towards her, before he started to literally sprint, running towards her. As Naruto fully turned, the man crashed into her. He then grabbed her before he tried to bite in her shoulder. Naruto tried to go after him, but he tripped over the box that he was unpacking as he fell on the ground. The woman screamed as the man bit down hard in her shoulder. As Naruto rushed over and grabbed the guy and threw him, he slammed into the wall as all the shelves broke down and the CDs crashed on top of him. As Naruto started to check on the co-worker, as she was bleeding badly. That is when he heard the groaning behind him as he saw the guy got to his feet. His right arm was torn apart like it was viciously torn into, but yet he wasn't bleeding as he should, and there was blood leaking from his mouth. Naruto pushed his female co-worker away as he grabbed the guy's arm, as he tried to overpower Naruto. Naruto cursed as he was surprised by the man's strength, as he was being pushed backwards. With all his might, Naruto kicked the guy in the groin. However, to Naruto's complete shock, he wasn't even fazed in the slightest, as he kept on trying to bite Naruto's face off. Glancing behind him, Naruto saw the door open towards the restroom. He released all the strength that he had, allowing the man to bring down his full force on him. He then quickly stepped to the side. Naruto then got behind him and kicked him in the back with all his might as the guy slammed right into the toilet. As he quickly shut the door, as he locked it from the outside, throwing a few boxes in front of it. Rushing out as fast as he can, he saw his co-worker as she was holding on to her wound. He pulled out his phone as he started to dial. As he bent down to keep her in check, as the phone picked up. This is a recording. We, at 911 emergency number, are currently being held up at the moment. We recommend you hang up and call back immediately. Should you still not get through, please wait and call later. This is a recording. Naruto hung up the phone. Surprised that 911 was all held up. Before he could say something, there were several shots that went off. The both of them turned their gaze as they saw people running for their life and several police vehicles driving by. What the hell is going on? Said Naruto as he helped his co-worker up. We're going to have to go to the hospital to check that bite because I can't get the police or anything, said Naruto, worry in his tone. And leave that crazy guy in the store, she yelled, holding on to her bite wound painfully. I'll take myself to the hospital. You just keep trying to get through to the police, she told him. As she got to her feet fully, she felt a bit nauseous and lightheaded. As she made her way off, Naruto felt the need to help her, but she would just yell at him to try and get to the police. That is when he heard the guy knocking against the door. Not as loud as he would expect though. It's almost like he's not even trying to escape. As time passed by, Naruto tried over and over again. He even tried to call Tenten's dad, who was a cop, but there was nothing. He started to hear shooting as he made his way towards the front door. That is when he noticed people running like crazy. And he saw that they were running from people. However, those people were covered in blood. He saw police shooting at those people covered in blood. Even some normal people shooting at them as well. As he stepped away from the window, unaware what was going on, as it seemed like some kind of war was starting. He tried to find something to defend himself, but there was nothing around. He quickly started to grab some CDs. As he picked up majority of the Justin Bieber CDs that he can throw and break them without feeling guilty. Few minutes passed by as Naruto was feeling sick. Fear was overtaking him as the people are trying to kill one another. As he saw a few people with missing limbs, Naruto threw the CDs away, feeling that throwing CDs at people with missing limbs would only piss them off and annoy them. As Naruto decided to flee from the fire escape room, as there was too many people getting so close. When he smashed right through the back door, he heard crying in pain. When Naruto turned, he saw two people devouring someone that was barely alive. Naruto felt like he was going to puke. Knowing that he could not save the dying person, he ran. He ran for his life. He sidestepped a bleeding woman with a missing breast as he ran into the street. That is when he came across a gun. As Naruto stepped back in fear. However, the person that was holding it called out to him, Naruto. He looked up to see the man in his 40s. It was none other than Tenten's father. Have you seen Tenten? He asked. Naruto started to stutter. The man pointed the gun behind Naruto and fired. Naruto turned as he saw the one-breasted woman collapse on the ground. Have you seen Tenten or Tamara? He yelled, making Naruto nod. Yeah, Tenten was home the last time I checked, doing the gardening. The man breathed in relief. What the hell is going on, Mr. Taylor? Naruto asked fearfully. Listen to me. Get back home immediately and get your family and mine out of the town. Stay in the outskirts if you have to. If it isn't safe there, leave and stay away from the public areas. The people have gone insane. Large number of them are not dying. They seem to only fall when you shoot them in the head. I have to try and save as many people as I can. I need you to protect my family. I don't think whatever it is has spread so far yet. So run and do not look back, okay? Okay, said Naruto, fear in his tone. Come on, Naruto, move it. You gotta go now, or you will die. As Mr. Taylor started to fire, several shots as Naruto turned to see several people rushing towards him as he started to strike them down one by one. So Naruto ran off, making his way as fast as he could. He ran until his muscles were screaming and begging him to stop, but he did not stop. Fear took over, the adrenaline pumping through him as he ran, pushing his body to its absolute limits. Then he ran some more. When he finally arrived to his house, he stopped as he tried desperately to catch his breath. His shirt was soaking in sweat as he started to call out for his mother. However, there was no signs of her as he rushed over the place twice. Naruto, what's going on? You're acting like you're being chased by someone. As Naruto turned to see Tenten standing at his front door. What's wrong, she asks, noticing how he was sweating and the fear in his eyes. We have to get out of town now, said Naruto. Get your mom and leave. I have to find my mom and dad. Wait, he's out of town. Just get your mom and leave, said Naruto. She thought that something was terribly wrong, and he might be overreacting as she grabbed both of his shoulders. Naruto, calm down. What's going on, she said. As Naruto tried to explain, then he realized that this must have reached the news by now, as he rushed over towards the TV. As he switched towards the news channel to show the absolute scared newscaster on the street, in total chaos as she was mid-sentence. People are dying on the streets and getting back up. The police are being overrun. They're trying their best, but there's just too much of them. The caster was cut off as they were mauled by a couple of people. Tenten was horrified. We apologize for the interruption. As he returned back to the station, we advise all civilians to stay inside, barricade the windows and the doors, and wait until the police and the National Guard has dealt with the crisis. Look, said Naruto, your dad told me to take my family and your mom and you out of town. Where's my mom, said Naruto. Tenten looked towards him with fear and worry. She went shopping. As Naruto felt his heart beat skyrocket. The shopping mall was directly in the center of town, where the chaos was. It felt like his heart was going to explode out of his chest. He turned to run off until she stopped him. Naruto, we need to get out of here. My dad is out there. He will make sure that your mom is fine. You can't run into this, whatever it is, she said. We need to get my mom out of here and move, she said. As Naruto stood there in a panic, as he thought and worried, he took a very deep breath. She was right, as he told her to grab everything that they might need. As Naruto rushed back inside and took a bag as he started to gather up a few things. He rushed towards his parents' room as there was a photo of all three of them. He took it, and he found his dad, old army knife. He then rushed towards the kitchen as he started to pull out food, snacks, dry ramen mostly, as he made his way towards the front door. As he took a permanent marker and write on the door, before he made his way towards his neighbors. As Tenten was helping her mother pat the car quickly, as she was arguing to her about what her father had said and about the danger. Hey, Mrs. Tamara, said Naruto, as he did not feel like himself anymore. He just saw people ripping people apart. Hello, Naruto. The woman known as Tamara replied, wearing a nice pink blouse with grey tight jeans and sneakers as well. She looked surprisingly young for her age of 60, making Naruto wonder why did Tenten dad married someone that is 20 years older than him. What the hell is happening around town, she said. I don't know. People are killing people and eating people. Mr. Taylor told me to get you and my family out of here, said Naruto. His voice was shaky. Where's your mother and father then? She asked him. My mom went to the store in town. My dad is away on business, Naruto said, as he tried not to cry, thinking about his mother out there. Tamara walked over towards him and hugged him. Your mother is a very resilient woman. Knowing something like this, she would be already leaving the town. But you can't afford to go out in this, unaware of what it is. All we can do is pray that everything is alright, she said. As Naruto nodded, she turned towards Tenten. Did you take your father's collection? Tenten nodded, showing the gun that was in her bag. As she asked where they were going. Riverdale Park, Naruto said. That would be the best place to stay until everything cooled down. As Tamara went into the car, Tintin went inside to double check if everything was okay. Before she left a note for her father in case he came back, shutting the door behind her. As Naruto got into the back, he was surprised they packed so much stuff. Or maybe, he just took a long time. With that, they drove off. As the message that Naruto left on the door read, "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry for not being here. If you get back, I'll be at Riverdale Park for as long as I can. I love you both, Naruto." With that, the car fully drive off, exiting the town that they were in. Time skip. People were going against the newscaster advice. They were leaving the towns rather quickly as Naruto sat on a bench. His head was hung low as he looked down towards the ground. Tintin was trying to get through on her phone, wondering if her father was alright. Her mother remained seated in the car, worrying over the whole situation. There was a few other people that came to the park as well, as they watched all the other cars drive away, as they were fleeing as fast as they could. As the traffic was starting to get jammed up because the people were moving in such a chaos, Tintin started to worry if they had to drive, they wouldn't be able to get through all this traffic. As Naruto finally looked up, he jumped a bit as someone was sitting next to him. A red-haired man. "You alright?" Naruto asked, making the person look his way. There was a few bags under his eyes, from lack of sleep it seems. As Naruto realized that the guy wasn't even older than him, maybe a few years younger, as he was wearing a red jacket with blue jeans and white trainers. He was wearing a large backpack on his back. He also had a tattoo on his head. The man did not answer Naruto though. He was rocking back in front. The honkings of the car, they started to bother him as he tried to cover his ears from the loud sound, as many people were arguing and cursing with one another to move out of the way. As Naruto's eye gazed towards the convenience store. "Hey Tintin, do we need anything from the shops?" he asked, rubbing his eyes a bit. Maybe some drinks for the road," she said. As Naruto nodded, she saw the red-haired man but she ignored him as she went back to calling her father, trying to get through. As Naruto walked past several drivers that are more than annoyed as he made his way towards the shop. Entering the shop, quite a lot of stuff has been bought. The cashier was watching a small portable TV, worry on their face. As he grabbed the basket and started to put some water, fizzy drinks, into the basket and a few snacks as well. As he placed it down, the cashier turned towards him and looked over the items. $65. Naruto blinked at the amount. "How much?" he asked, wanting to make sure that he heard that correctly. "65, he said. "The world has gone to shit. Some terrorist attack or something. I just need enough money to get the hell out of here and make my way to the airport." "Well, you're really convincing on making people agree to pay that much," Naruto said, in a sarcastic tone as he placed down less than the man said. "You got any bag?" Naruto asked. "No, it ran out a while ago. Just take the basket. None of it will make sense once the terrorists get here." Naruto wanted to tell the man that it wasn't terrorists, but he paused as he realized that he was not even sure what the hell was going on. When Naruto arrived, he saw Tamara talking with the red-haired man, but he was not responding. As Tenten saw Naruto with a basket filled with items, she was about to say something until she heard the phone pick up. "Dad!" she yelled. "Tenten, oh thank God. Are you and your mother safe?" he asked, as he was breathing so loudly and heavily on the other side. "Yeah, Naruto told us everything. Are you alright?" she said. "Where are you?" she asked. As Tamara came over, hearing Tenten talking on the phone. "I'm alright at the moment. I have to move a lot. And I'm at Safeway at the moment. I can't get back right now. There is so much chaos all over. I may not be able to get back immediately, but know this. I love you," he said. "Just stay where you are unless you're outside the town. In which case, keep on moving. I love you and your mother so much. And I promise that I will..." The line went dead immediately, cutting him off. Tintin looked at her phone and saw that she lost the signal, as she started to cry, as Naruto was a bit surprised by that. Tintin was one of the toughest people that he knew. and didn't know how to act as Tamara comforted her daughter and hugged her. As Naruto patted her on the shoulder, wanting to comfort her before he put the basket down. "You got through to him. At least you know that he's still alive," said Naruto, trying his best to somehow cheer her up. "Yeah, and your father is a survivor, so don't worry, sweetheart," Tamara said, hugging her tightly. As Naruto picked up the basket, as he was about to put it in the car, he felt someone behind him as he turned to see the red-haired guy. "Hi there," said Naruto. "I'm Naruto," as he held out his hand. The guy looked at his hand before. He moved his neck twice. "Gaara," he said. It seemed to be some kind of twitch, as Naruto held back his hand. "So where you heading, Gaara?" he asked. "I was heading back home to California," he said. He rocked a bit on his feet. "I see. Well, we're heading out of town. I'm not sure how you're gonna get down south, since all the chaos is down south." As Gaara nodded. "I know. I was supposed to be on an airplane 3 hours and 26 minutes ago, but all the flights were grounded, and they would not let me on my flight." He started to walk a bit, but he wasn't going anywhere. He was just walking back in front. "I see. Well, do you have any place to go now?" He shook his head no. "Do you know anyone here?" "You and that woman over there," he said, pointing towards Tamara, as he started to rub the back of his neck. "Well, you can come with us until we get you on a trip to California, if you want." Gaara nodded. "Thank you," he said, as he kept on walking back in front, making Naruto wonder what was up with him. As they stayed there for about 6 hours, Tenten could not get back through to her father. Her phone had died. Gaara does not respond that much. Majority of the cars were gone. Some had been left abandoned, people taking supplies and running. Gunshots are heard in the distance, but the amount of shots fired are decreasing rapidly, making Tenten starting to worry even more. The good thought is that these strange people are running out. But the bad thought is, the police are being overtaken by these monsters. As she reached for the gun that her father had left, as she held it in her hand, she was going to keep it on her for safety when she heard a blood-curdling scream. Dozens of people were running for their life. Behind them were people covered in blood, missing limbs, their bodies mutilated, but they still move. Tenten watched as a few people got grabbed by the bloody people as they sunk their teeth into their flesh, tearing them apart, devouring them piece by piece. Naruto came rushing over and told Tamara to get in the car, as he told Gaara to get in the car as well, but he kept on rubbing his ears. Tenten pulled the gun out and pointed. "Stay back," she said, her hands trembling. "I said stay back," she yelled. But they were still walking forward. "Tenten," Naruto yelled, "move it! We gotta get out of here!" Tenten cursed as she fired. It slammed into the individual's shoulder, but they kept on walking. Suddenly Gaara walked past her. His eyes were focused on the one at the lead, and he kept on walking towards the strange monster. The person tried to bite him, but Gaara stepped to the side. He twisted his body, as the person was nowhere close to reaching him. He then kicked them in the back of the knee, causing it to snap. He backhanded the person, causing it to fall down to the ground. The bones and body seemed to break apart so easily. A woman tried to grab him, but he spun and kicked her in the midsection as she collapsed down on the ground. As one of the monsters on the ground reached out towards him, Gaara grabbed the hand and kicked it right in the joint of the elbow, snapping the bone before he used it and drive it into the throat of another that tried to grab him. The last one tried to grab him, but he knocked into his knees, causing it to dislocate. The individual fell down, but it did not stop them trying to bite into Gaara, as Gaara started to stomp down hard on the individual head until they stopped moving. As the woman tried to come towards him, he kicked her so hard, her head slammed into the posts as she stopped moving. The last one was trying to pull himself up with his only arm. He kicked said arm as the person collapsed down, unable to pull himself up. Tamara, Naruto, and Tenten were shocked. Despite looking small and fatigued, he was able to beat the crap out of 4 bloody people and probably kill them, judging by some of them not moving anymore. As Tenten saw the other one trying to bite Gaara's leg, she fired. It slammed right into the skull, and the body stopped moving. Gaara covered his ears. How did you do that? She asked. My father taught me how to fight. They're not normal, he said, looking back at them. Their smell is all wrong. As Tenten watched, the limbs of the one that Gaara broke was still trying to move. How the hell are they still moving? She said. As Naruto spoke up, they're zombies. As they all looked towards them. If not, they're like zombies, said Naruto. They eat the living. And the only thing that seemed to stop them is a hit to the skull. Your father told me that. Naruto heard some groans as he looked up to see more bloody people heading their way. We need to move. Now. As Tenten saw Gaara heading into the back seat. Hey, get the hell away from there, she said, as Gaara stopped looking at her confused. Tenten, Naruto's voice reached her. You see these things? They're not humans anymore. They're zombies, said Naruto. And he took out 4 of them. I'd rather have him on our side, said Naruto. Now get in, he ordered. As she could not protest against that, as she saw the rest of the zombies coming towards them, she jumped into the car. As they drove off. Time skip. They drove for a while, as they were able to drive over the bridge. They found themselves at a small group of cars all parked together, with about 7 dozen people. All the people are remaining on the roads and the grassy areas, waiting for whatever is going on in the town to be over. As they waited for a few hours, they start to see lights coming from the towns. Flames. As everyone started to get worried. As Naruto keep on checking the phones. However, they had no signal. As Tamara ended up falling asleep in the car. As they waited for hours, the people started to argue about what was going on. Terrorists. Pandemic. People going insane and so on and so on. Tenten saw the things and knew that they were most likely zombies, but she didn't want to say that because this was real life. This wasn't a movie. As Naruto sat down into the back, he looked over towards Tamara before he covered her with one of the blankets. He closed his eyes and leaned back, hoping to wake up and have his mom yell to him about the magazines. Majority of people start to go into their car and sleep. It's been a very long and exhausting day. Tenten started to feel the weight of tiredness. She noticed Gaara a distance away, unflinching from where he was. She walked over towards him. Hey, aren't you tired? Yes, he said, not looking at her. Then why don't you go in the car and rest? I'll keep watch, she said. No, he said. As she thought the guy was being a bit arrogant. Look, you need to get some sleep. You look like you're about to fall any moment now. And you need to clean the blood off your hands, she said to him. The blood was still staining his fist from his fight earlier. I do not sleep. I never can, he said. You don't sleep? Ever? She said, confused. I don't. My doctor said I have insomnia. Though they're not sure exactly why I have it. I've been awake for nearly my entire life. As he rubbed the dry blood on his pants, getting some of it off. The doctor said that they're concerned for my mental health. But I'm used to it, he said. Oh, okay then. You keep watch and tell me if something happens. As she was a bit unnerved by the way that he spoke, she made her way towards the car. Naruto, she whispered, waking him up. That red-haired guy is really weird. As Naruto glanced towards the outline of Gaara in the distance. So, said Naruto, and didn't you figure that out when we first met him? And he seems like a okay guy. Minus the hand-to-hand combat, said Naruto. The guy just told me that he never sleeps. And his doctors, that's plural, are concerned about his mental health, Tenten said. Is that so, said Naruto. Well, I'd rather have him on guard then. A sleepless guy with sanity issues makes a perfect guard. So far, he has not done us any harm. And I'm sure that he's a good guy, once you get to know him. Hell, your mother kept on speaking to him the entire time we met him. And she's a rather picky woman, said Naruto, as he proceeded to close his eyes. As Tenten yawned, maybe he was right, she thought to herself. The people stayed there for about a day, complaining and waiting, wondering if they should go back, as they want to see if the matter was dealt with. The radio said that they should stay indoors, keep away from anyone that has been bitten, and stay away from high populated areas. As Tamara kept on speaking with other people, she recognized a few of them as neighbors and some past friends. As Naruto checked on the stuff before he started to talk to Gaara, he could see why Tenten was a bit scared of him, as Tamara said that he might be autistic, but Naruto did not mind. To him, he seemed like a really cool and good guy. As the time passed by once again, as Naruto was sleeping in the back seat, Tenten was dozing off at the front. As she heard some people arguing, it wasn't the first time that the people around here had caught up in arguments, so she decided to tune it out until there was some knocking. As she looked up to see that it was Gaara, she relaxed a bit, still a bit on edge though. What's up, Gaara? She said, rubbing her eyes. They're here. The zombies are here. They killed a few people already, and there's a large herd of them coming, Gaara told her. Tintin got out of the car as she saw zombies eating bodies and a horde of them coming. As she pressed the horn as loudly as she could to wake everyone up. We're being attacked, she screamed out. Gaara got in the passenger seat as Tenten cursed. She could not get through as there was too much cars parked around. Why didn't you wake me up before they got so close, she asked. You asked me to tell you when something happened. Nothing happened when they appear. It is when they attack I woke you, he said. Tamara woke up as she started to look around, as Naruto wondered what the hell was going on. People are screaming in chaos. A few undeads start to break windows, slamming their heads repeatedly against it. Tenten heard a banging as she looked up to see one of them banging against the window. As Naruto started to search through the bags, Tenten, where did you put the guns? As he was looking for her father's collection, Tamara was panicking in fear as she saw the monsters slashing and trying to get through the windows. In the brown bag, the one I had when we were at school, she yelled at him. Thump. Something was on the roof. Reverse. Gaara said. What are you on about? She yelled. There is nothing but deads behind us. The cars are in front of us, cannot be moved. We're risking those things breaking in, and if they do, you're all dead, Gaara said. Just move, Naruto yelled. Tenten saw as the car in front of them got broken in. A woman was dragged out by one of the undead. She pressed down hard as the car started to go in reverse. They were smashing and running over several of them. Tenten did not stop as they crashed through the horde and kept on reversing, backing up as he headed back toward the town the only way, because this area was filled with nothing but cars as they could not get through. As they were now on the road, backing straight up. While that was going on, screams of horror could be heard from a house. A woman was holding a knife, while a man was holding a hammer. The undead smashed through the window as an elderly-looking man grabbed hold of a weak, little brown-haired woman. Ankai, get Yakumo out of here now. We'll follow. Her parents yelled, holding the weapons. Father! Yakumo cried as she saw her father smash one of the undeads with the hammer. The woman swung her knife, slashing to one of them, but they were able to knock her down to the ground as they piled all over her. She screamed out as the undead bit into her. Yuruko! The father yelled as he watched his wife got ripped apart. Her ankle, her arm, her neck was ripped out. He knocked away 3 of them with his hammer as he tried to save his wife. One of them teared through his calf as he cried out. One of them leaped right on his chest, biting into him. Meanwhile, Ankai was holding Yakumo as he pulled her through the kitchen. She heard her parents scream. They're being attacked. We have to help them. We have to leave, Ankai told her, knowing if they go back, they would most definitely die. He opened the back door as he was about to leave, but he was grabbed by an undead as it sank its teeth into his neck, tearing out his flesh. Uncle Ankai, She yelled. Run! He said, trying to push the thing off despite the blood. Run, Yakumo, he said to her. She was shaking. I said run, or your parents' sacrifice will be for nothing, he yelled, as Ankai slammed the door once she ran off, trapping himself inside and the others as well, giving her time to flee. As he looked into the eyes of the undead, they were definitely not humans anymore. At least, Yakumo was safe, he thought to himself, as they all rushed towards him. Time skip. The car was rapidly reversing down the street. There was a couple of undeads coming after them. Tenten! Tenten! Stop the car! Naruto yelled out, as Tenten seemed to be stuck in a trance trying to flee. Tenten! Her mother yelled, snapping her gaze back to reality. You did it. You got us out of there. Slow down, she said, as she almost hit several cars on the way down. Finally, she slowed down. You have to circle around, try. Going through intersection 5, Naruto said, when they heard something, as a man came at the window. You saved my life, but I'd rather be in the car, he said. Where the hell did you come from? Naruto yelled, as Tenten pulled out the gun just in case. He was a part of the group, Tamara said. I think he was a pharmacist, she claimed. I got some meds. I was with some people that needed it, but the jam and everything. I saw you trying to move, so I jumped on the hood and hoped for the best. Making Tenten realize that he was the sound that she heard, thinking that one of those zombies were on the roof. As the zombies started to come their way, Naruto and Tenten were arguing. We have to help the guy. Naruto is fighting about. We don't even know this guy, for all that we know. He stole those drugs, Tenten said, knowing that there was a surprise amount of drug dealers from her father's report. However, Tamara sighed as she opened the door. The man thanked her as she scooted over. He thanked her several times. As he coughed slightly and rubbed his hands. It was freezing out there. I'm Jeff, by the way. I am Tamara. That is my daughter Tenten, her friend Naruto, and this is Gara. An interesting young man. As Tenten reversed slowly, keeping away from the undead. Where are we heading? Jeff said. We're going to try to go through a different exit. That road was packed, and the amount of those things. We can't chance it, Tenten said. Within the town, the undeads, they moved in a group as they tried to eat everything they came across. However, majority of the people had already fled, and they've already eaten what they could, so the place was pretty much empty. A young woman was pressed against a large dumpster as the walkers were eating. A friend of hers from college. She was panicking, she was afraid. She glanced over as she saw the undead were all around, surrounding the entire place. As she was holding a large, bloody pen that she took from a former college student. She held it in her hand, surprised by its durability so far. She's been using it to pierce the undeads. She was wearing black jeans, black trainers, a white button-up that was splattered with blood. She closed her eyes as she took a deep breath, calming down to think more clearly. She needed to be focused if she was going to make it out of here, as she heard the moaning and groaning, flesh being torn and ripped. As she wished that she has gotten out of the town before this chaos gotten on hand. That is when she saw a pawn shop near the dead of the alley. In the alleyway that she was in, the undead started to come down the alley as she ran. Pray to whatever god that might still be there, that some kind of weapon was in the pawn shop, because she could not fight off these things with a pen. As she flashed her hair out of her face, it needed to be tied back. She handled the door handle and it was open. As she quickly got inside and closed it behind her, a crossbow was placed directly in her face. She raised her hand. No, 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 she yelled. You're alive, the man said as he lowered the bow. Never expect someone surviving to run into my shop, he said. He was wearing sweatpants and a grey shirt. He told her to move as he looked through the glass, not seeing any trouble outside, as another man came from the other side. So what brings you here, little lady? As he had a shotgun in his hand. I was trying to get out of the town, but it didn't go as planned, she said. She looked towards the two men, wondering if they were dangerous. This is our store. We pawn items people want to get rid of fast. You would be surprised by the amount of weapon that was sold. The one that spoke looked like a redneck. As he pulled out a revolver and started to eye it, she felt uneasy around this guy. Alright, so you're well armed, I get it. She placed a large pen down as she rubbed her bloody hands on her trousers. Yeah, we are. And the world has gone to hell. The apocalypse has begun, he said, with a chuckle. So what's your name, little woman? Vienna, she said, as she looked around till she saw a blade over the door. Where does that door go, she asked. Leads to another alleyway. This place sucks in location, but it's cheaper than the shops on the road. Vienna nodded as she made her way and looked at the katana on the wall. The fat man looked at her. He still had the crossbow in his hand. Nice, huh? Got it from a Canadian guy. Might have stolen it, he said. You know, we got a fallout shelter that our grandpappy built in the Second World War. We were getting some stuff and we might have... He was cut off as a shattering sound was heard. The undeads break through the window and pile and tackle on the large man. He screamed out in pain. Rich! The redneck yelled as he aimed the shotgun and blast. Vienna covered her ears as the sound was really loud. As the redneck did not stop until the undeads were dead once again. As he pulled out his overweight brother. His brother was barely alive as he was breathing heavily and bleeding all over. The rest of the undead started to make their way, the gunshot alerting them. Vienna quickly grabbed the katana as she rushed through the side door, as she avoided a few undead that came her way, running as fast as she could. Meanwhile, Tintin had to stop. The road was blocked with cars and fences and undead, something they weren't expecting. I think we have to find another way, said Naruto, as he opened the map once again. Tintin reversed rapidly, avoiding the horde. As Tintin spun around, smashed into a couple of undeads. Jeff started screaming as Tintin swerved skillfully. Gara was feeling a bit uneasy with all the screaming. Tamara was the most relaxed looking. Damn, Tintin, you drive like a maniac. Who taught you how to drive, said Naruto. My dad. Now stop complaining, she said, as she slammed into a few undead, knocking them over. Meanwhile, in the residential area, a man was walking covered in blood. Bits of pieces were over him. He had a bloody bat in his hand, a hockey mask over his face. He has spiky brown hair. He heard a screeching sound as he saw a car heading his way. The car swerved as he just kept on walking, like he was not even there. As he walked off to an undamaged house. Strange, he said, as he kept on walking. As he started to whistle a Christmas song before, he slammed his bat into an undead's head and kept on walking. Meanwhile, Tintin swerved the car once again, driving as best as she can. Where the hell do we go now, she said, as she tried her best to avoid all the undead, but occasionally, she collided with one of them. Stop hating those things. They still look humans, for God's sake, Jeff yelled. We have to keep on moving, Tintin said, ignoring him, as she looked towards Naruto. Where are we, she said, as he was looking over the map. I don't know. You've went down several different roads and streets, so I don't know where the hell we are, he yelled back. As Tintin swerved and went down the streets, as they saw someone bloody walking out in the middle of the road. Tintin swerved and avoided the person though, or if it was even a person anymore, as they kept on driving. I think we better stop and find out where we are, Tamara said, as they were in the residential area. The undeads were clearing out. I don't think that would be a good idea, Mrs. Tamara, said Naruto, as he thought about all of the undead converging once they stop. What if we park into a garage and simply close the door behind us? Gara piped up. As he was pinching his nose, he got a migraine from the violent driving. We can't, Tintin said. I don't know what street we're on, and we can't just go into someone. Jeff laughed nervously. Who would care, he said. There are dead walking all around, and I don't think that anyone will care if we trespass. Look, there's one, he said. There was an open garage at the edge of the street. as Tintin slammed into another undead before she stepped on the brakes and spun the car around before she drove straight into the garage. As the car slammed into the shelf, everything fell down on the front. As everyone took a breather, since the violent driving was finally over. Finally, I thought we never were going to stop. Thank God, said Naruto. Tintin took a few deep breaths as she was shaking a bit. I don't want to drive anymore, she said. Despite them already being dead, it looked like they were living people and she was doing a hit and run. She hated the sickening feeling that she felt. Jeff and Tamara took a few deep breaths, relaxing a bit as Gara was still pinching his nose. Isn't anyone going to close the garage, Gara said, feeling ill. Naruto quickly got out. The garage door was open, as a couple of undead started to come towards him. As Naruto slammed the button on the wall. Thank God we still have power, he said, as the door slowly closed down. Tintin leaned against the car with a breath escaping her lips as everyone else got out of the car. The garage was dark now, and they saw that it was only a few boxes inside. Looks like it's more of a storage area then. Where you park your car, Tintin said, as she saw names on the boxes. The door was rattling as the undead banged on it, but they were sure that they could not get in without their help. Yeah, said Jeff, answering Tintin, as he opened one of the boxes to see women clothed inside. Gara started to move the things off the car that fell on it. As he saw a toolbox and threw it towards Tintin, she jumped in fright. Don't do that, she said. You can use them, Gara said. Heavy weapons that can smash the skull should work. He's got a point. These things are like zombies and destroying the brain always work, said Naruto, as he checked the boxes on his side, but there was only children's stuff and beach supplies. Tintin picked up the toolbox. Okay, all the basics. Screwdrivers, nails, saw, hammer, pliers, and wrench. We can do some damage, but I prefer using my dad guns. Fair enough, said Jeff as he ripped open a few other boxes, but there was nothing but useless supplies. I think I found the door, Tamara said, as everyone looked around in the darkness, spotting her. Anyone want to check if the house is clear, Tintin said, as she pointed her gun towards the door. Might as well if it's clear. We can make plans and loot the place, Jeff said, tossing away a box. So you want us to loot? Tintin said. Not loot, just find things that might be useful. As he pointed towards his bag in the car, I took stuff from my work to help with anyone in medical needs. I think it should be the same here, he said, not liking the looks that they were giving him. Come on, we're looking through boxes and taking a toolbox. Yeah, but loot is a bad thing. My dad's a policeman, and it's like breaking the law, Tintin said, getting a nod from her mother. Fine, let's use another word. Like shop. Just check the house, he said, as he tore open another box. Naruto reached as he picked up a hammer, as he made his way towards the door. Gara followed as he was still rubbing his head in pain, as he stood by the door with Naruto. As Naruto reached for the handle and opened the door, Tintin's eyes widened. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 of them which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and destroy that red subscribe button and become a part of the Animaking family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Don't forget to comment down below and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. So yeah, without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now, guys. What am I saying? Let's get the hell out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.